How you doing, Bruin fans? Well, hopefully uh, you're doing a little better than the UCLA men's basketball team. But we'll get into this uh, in this show, and I'm glad you joined us here on the UCLA Daily Report. Todd Reeves here once again with the UCLA Daily recap of the tournament weekend for UCLA out in Philadelphia. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button here on the UCLA Daily, part of the Fan Arts Network. And glad you joined me here for this kind of somber occasion. But again, we'll get into that. But the last time we talked to you, the Bruins had yet to take the court on Friday evening against Central Florida. Johnny Dawkins and those guys took on the Bruins at 4:25 Pacific time in Philadelphia. And the Bruins came out with a 75-71 victory, but it wasn't that an impressive victory. I mean, Central Florida didn't play very well. UCLA did not play very well at all. Part of the reason was maybe because Tyler Bilodeau wasn't there, which again we'll get into. But that was maybe something that the Bruins weren't expecting because all the reports were he was going to play and then he didn't. So, anyways, we'll get into that. But the Bruins held on for a 75-71 victory. Um, the one of the really disappointing things was the fact that UCLA could not rebound the ball at all. Just could not rebound. Uh, the numbers, if you look at the box score, the Bruins, I believe, gave up 20, or excuse me, 19 offensive rebounds. 19 offensive rebounds to Central Florida. In fact, their leading rebounder, Jamichael Stillwell, grabbed 13 rebounds all by himself. Now, he was averaging 8 per ball game, so he was their best rebounder. But, I mean, he was playing on a bum ankle that if you watch the broadcasters were even saying, that Stillwell shouldn't have been out there. Like his ankle was so bad that most guys wouldn't be out there. And yet he was able to grab 13 rebounds, including 7 offensive rebounds. I mean, it was just, it was a very poor showing for UCLA on the boards. The Bruins, I mean, you look at the numbers, they were only out rebounded by 8, 43-35, but their leading rebounder was Xavier Booker, who had 8, and a trio of Bruins had 5 rebounds apiece, but just wasn't enough. So many offensive rebounds, and they didn't shoot the ball well either, did the Bruins? 4 for 17 for Donovan Dent, uh, um, 4 for 12 for Trent Perry. I mean, both those guys had really sluggish weekends. And then part of the reason, the Bruins were able to win is because they were just a superior team. They had more athleticism. UCF seemed pretty disorganized. Um, they didn't seem like they had a clear idea on what they wanted to do offensively. They were just coming down and chucking up shots. And even on the broadcast, they mentioned how it was kind of strange how they weren't even moving the ball, passing and cutting. There was little ball movement. They would just come down, dribble it around, and chuck up some shots. And a lot of time it was actually a good strategy because they kept rebounding their misses. But the Bruins held on for the win. They were in complete control of the game. I mean, they easily could have won this game by double digits, but UCF hit some late threes. Again, we said they came in shooting it woefully from 3-point range, but they had a decent game from 3-point range. And you look at the box score, UCF shot it 12 of 32 from 3-point range, and they had only hit 12 3-pointers their last 4 games combined. So they matched their last 4 games. The other problem that they had was the free throw line. 5 of 16 from the line was UCF. I mean, you're not going to win too many games when that happens. So, um, excuse me. Anyways, so I mean, the Bruins got the victory on Friday night. I mean, it was one of those things that, at the time you say, let's survive and advance, but they again, it was not a very well played game by either team, but UCLA just happened to eke one out, as we say, and they got the win over Central Florida. And maybe part of the reason was Tyler Bilodeau. All week long, he was kind of questionable. Donovan Dent's injury, I mean, it didn't really seem to slow him down in his movement or anything with his strained calf, but he didn't shoot it well, and I don't know if that had to do with the calf. No one mentioned that. But the thing was is that Tyler Bilodeau was expected to play. I mean, he was kind of questionable up in the air. Then all of a sudden, like a few minutes before game time, I mean, he went through shoot around, he went through warm-ups before the game, then all of a sudden it's like, oh, he's out. He can't go. And I think that may have thrown the Bruins into a little funk, you know. I mean, the uh, the Bruins, you know, were probably planning all week to have their leading scorer in the game, probably practice like he was gonna play. So I mean, you, I don't want to say it was an excuse, but I mean it was a reason why the Bruins didn't play very well, and probably another reason why they didn't rebound very well either. I mean, Bilodeau is not a great rebounder, but you know, he averages 5.5 rebounds per game. He would have contributed a little bit on the boards. And that was a, you know, as we said, a major problem against Central Florida. But I mean, I just think it just threw the Bruins off a little bit on, you know, like who's playing. You know, we prepared for our guy to be there all week. And then all of a sudden, you know, what, 15, 20 minutes before tip off, oh no, he's not going to play. So I think that really kind of threw off the rhythm and of the offense and the funk. And as we said, the guards really didn't shoot the ball very well. Also, don't forget in that game, there was another, I don't know if you want to call it injury, but, you know, diving for a loose ball, Sky Clark got an elbow right in the mouth. And one of his teeth went flying, and there's chiclets on the floor, or a chiclet, I should say. And so, you know, Mick Cronin later on said that he was in a lot of pain and he had to go to a dentist at 11 o'clock that night in Philadelphia, find a dentist and have to fix the tooth, which got knocked out. I think it was more of like a chip tooth. I don't know if the whole tooth came out, but he had to get a crown on that and he had to wear a mouthpiece for the game on Sunday against Connecticut. So, you know, it was a rough March physically for UCLA, not only with Dent and Bilodeau's injury, but then Sky Clark, who, of course, didn't miss any time, really. I mean, he came out of the game and they checked his mouth against Central Florida, but he came back and he was fine and he played the whole weekend. So, but still, it's just another example of the one of the things that UCLA had to overcome in this season. And, you know, I mean, they did the best they could, but they didn't do, you know, it was just too much of UConn on Sunday. So let's get into that one. You know, UCLA, one of the obstacles they had was UConn, and they knew that, the 2 seed, champion from 2 years ago, who was a very good team this year. Most people thought they were seeded properly as the 2 seed, but it was going to be tough no matter what, even with Bilodeau. But once again, it was kind of the same situation. Although I think UCLA was more prepared this time, where you know he was very questionable leading up to the game, and you know maybe an hour before it was announced that he wasn't going to go again. So the knee injury was probably, they called it at the time a mild sprain, but I think it was turned out to be a little bit more of a not so mild sprain, and he wasn't able to go. Probably I'm guessing a 2 to 4 week injury, or you know maybe if they had advanced, maybe in the Sweet 16 he could have gone. Who knows? But it doesn't matter now because UCLA falls in the round of 32 by a score of 73-57. Uh, Listening to Coach Cronin's comments after the game, he just said basically it come down to UConn's defense was a lot better than UCLA's offense. That's what it was. UCLA did not shoot the ball particularly well, at 39%. Once again, it was you know Donovan Dent and Sky Clark, or excuse me, Trent Perry having rough days. Perry 2 for 8 from the field, 0 of 2 from three. Donovan Dent, 2 of 9 from the field. So when two of your best guards are shooting 4 for 17 and 1 of 5 from three, I mean, that's not going to be good enough to beat a team like UConn, and it wasn't. So, you know, the thing was is that you know, one of the obstacles UCLA had to face was, you know, Reed and the big guys for UConn, and UCLA didn't handle it very well. They went 9 of 22 on dunks and layups. Meanwhile, the UConn Huskies went 10 of 14 on dunks and layups. I mean, that's pretty much your game right there. I mean, UCLA fought hard for, you know, 35 minutes of the game. I mean, It was a 4-point game, 58-54 with 5 minutes to go. Anyone's ball game. But Trent Perry had committed a foul on a three-point shooter, which Mick Cronin said that's one of his pet peeves. They never teach anyone to foul three-point shooters. It really is a cardinal sin, and it really bit the Bruins because a 4-point deficit turned into a 7-point deficit. UCLA only scored 3 points the rest of the way, and basically just completely ran out of gas, and UConn took the win. So on tomorrow's show, I'm going to take a deep dive into the game, see what happened, and go a little bit more into that. But that's what we have for tonight. That's just a quick recap for you. And then we're going to finish up talking about, the loss and more than that, the season and, you know, who is at fault? Was this a coaching issue on Sunday? Was it the players? Was it a combination of both? Probably, but the players did not play particularly well. I mean, as Cronin said, in his post-game press conference again, 57 points. You're not going to beat anybody in the tournament scoring 57 points. Bruins just did not have enough firepower. And UConn got a huge game from one of their veterans, Alex Karaban, 25 points, hit half his three-pointers. I mean, he was spectacular. And Reed in the second half grabbed 10 of his 13 rebounds in the second half. I mean, he didn't have a great game compared to the first round when he almost went 30 and 30, which is just amazing. But, he had 13 rebounds and I think he had 10 or 12 points. So, I mean, he wasn't a huge factor, but, that's what happens when you have a good team like Connecticut. They find a player to, carry them throughout the game. They have so much talent. If it's not one of their main guys, it's, the veteran, and Caravan's one of their main guys. Don't get me wrong, but I'm just saying, like, out of the main guys, a couple of people are struggling on a certain night. Well, UConn's the kind of team that has a guy that steps up. Reed stepped up in the first round. I mean, they struggled a little bit with Furman. They battled with the Paladins for most of that night. And, most of the shooters for UConn were having a terrible night against Furman. But against the Bruins, they shot the ball a little bit better. And, Caravan, as we said, woke up a little bit offensively, especially from 3-point range. And, that's just the breaks. UCLA once again for the second year in a row gets a first round victory as a 7 seed and then falls by double digits to a 2 seed. I would say last year's game against Tennessee, that 2 seed that game was not as close as the score indicated. I think this year this game was a lot closer than the score indicated. I don't think it was a 16-point victory, a blowout or anything like that. But the Bruins have some soul searching to do, and they're going to be doing that uh, the next few days and the next few weeks when the transfer portal opens. So, well, UCLA students are on spring break, and UCLA basketball players are now on a break until next year. So that'll do it. Disappointing end to the season, but hopefully, you know, greener pastures are ahead and good days are ahead, and Coach Cronin will reload this roster and get them rolling again. But again, we'll talk about that later. So don't forget tomorrow. On the show, we're going to go into a deep dive into this UConn loss and what exactly went right and what exactly went wrong. And throughout the week, we'll talk about the future of this team and this program. So that'll do it for me tonight. I'm glad you've joined me. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button. And also, if you have any comments or questions, I mean, it was a difficult year, to say the least. Bruins had their ups and had their downs, and unfortunately, every team in the NCAA tournament will finish on a down note except for one, and UCLA has finished on their down note on Sunday night. So, Todd Reeves here saying, so long, Bruin fans. Take care, and we'll see you tomorrow.